Pledge allegiance and a moment of silence for military and first responders.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Get roll call, please, Lori.
Sure, Bankin,
He's excused.
Aspo,
Here.
Bristol,
Here.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah, here.
Asplund,
Yes.
Majeski.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Okay, I think we got a change to the agenda.
Yes, I provided you a copy of the amended agenda, but on the second page, the vehicle purchase request, that should be with funds to come from the senior services fund and the building department fund.
Just need to add in senior service.
With that, can we get a motion to approve it?
I'll make motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
I'll second.
Roll call, Lori.
Majeski.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Bristol,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Aspo.
Yes. Okay. Everybody had time to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
So can I get a motion to approve them?
Make that motion. Second.
Roll call, Lori.
Bristol,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Majeski,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Asco.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. General public comment. Got some people in the audience? You bet.
Name's John Marion. I'm the president of Woodshaw Estates Homeowners Association. I'm here to talk about the gypsy moth spraying. I'm very concerned about how this whole process is being managed and conducted. The spray maps that I was able to obtain through the Soil Conservation District are totally unreadable on a computer where you can analyze exactly what was supposedly done. I stood out on the deck of my house. I live on the east side of Arnold Lake. Stood there the whole time and I didn't receive one droplet of anything falling anywhere near me. The flight plan that shows here that he was flying parallel to the shoreline. Absolutely not. My mistake is I should have took this out and videotaped him flying on a diagonal southeast to north, southwest to northeast. When he went over near my house, he was 2 houses away. And when he came back, he was the next house above me. That distance in between had to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 feet. His spray path is supposed to be 150 feet. I questioned on Facebook why he was spending so much time flying over the lake where he's supposed to be spraying vegetation. And I was told that that was the plan because of the fact that he was carrying a liquid and he couldn't make bank turns or something. And I just think that was a line of BS that this company gave the Soil Conservation District. The other thing I said, we're wasting a huge amount of fuel, and I was told we don't pay for fuel. Well, I believe airplanes run on jet fuel or some kind of aviation fuel. So yeah, we do pay for that indirectly to put that plane in the air. My question is, did we get a bang for our buck out of how much money we just spent on that? I say we got screwed big time. Now, how can we prove all this? I say we need to get somebody to analyze this to prove that this just isn't for show, to say this is what I claimed I did, and he didn't. Now, My problem is how else do I prove that? I could get every neighbor in the area that I know observed a lot of this. And they're gonna say the same thing. He was flying this way across the lake. He should have been flying parallel with the shoreline, spraying vegetation. The other question I have, when he went over, I couldn't see anything coming out of this plane. I've encountered aerial spraying when I was in the service by C-130s dropping Agent Orange. We used to stop our equipment and get underneath it so we wouldn't get rained on. Well, whatever he was dropping, I couldn't, it was in such a fine mist, you couldn't even tell that he was dropping something. So I'm questioning, number one, was he even spraying? How is that being supervised? Is somebody actually monitoring what he's loading, claiming he's loading on this plane? I have no idea. But I think we need to make some serious study over this because we're talking tens of thousands of dollars here.
Very much a lot of money. And I've got maybe a suggestion to that. When it's time for us to renew our contract, we should bring him into the meeting and ask him these questions.
Out for bid.
Well, Melissa, tell me if I'm right or wrong. That's the only bid we got?
Yes.
We did put it out for bid and that's the only one we got.
Well, I analyzed the 1,600 accounts on the state of Michigan approved spray list and found 8 companies that could do aerial spraying.
I did that very thing last night. I found them too.
There's 8 of them.
Yep.
2 of the companies are the same guy, Al's, and he's got another company that he puts under the same name. It's in the same city. I don't know what that's all about. But I think he's relying on his reputation that I'm personally thinking he might be excellent at doing a cornfield. But as far as doing spraying around the lake, I think he's got a lot to learn. And I don't care what anybody says. He's been doing it for 30 years. He's been taking people's money hand over fist and walking away with it. I mean, bring 5 planes up here, I don't know, 6, 7 guys, and he's down here for a week and walks away with 300 grand. We're in the wrong business.
Sir, I missed your name. What was your
John
name again?
Marion.
John
John-
Marion.
John, have you give this presentation or discussed anything with the Board of Commissioners that are on the Conservation District?
No,
They have their own board. They have their, we'd love to hear the concerns in that, but this board here, our position in the Gypsy Moth program is really to approve.
prove the funding. Well, I just want to let you know the funding you're approving, I don't think is being properly spent. And I think putting it out for bid, I think you should look into a helicopter spraying service and not this guy. There's other companies that are out there that can do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're researching that thoroughly enough. And the fact that this guy ends up going all over the country to spray, I can't believe he's the only game east of the Mississippi. There's got to be some other companies that are doing it. Who sprays Alpena? I don't believe he does.
Right, well, I can tell you, I was witness to the plane flying over property and the property that he flew over and sprayed, and I seen the spray coming out. There's about 90% of the foliage is gone. And I think it's happening all over. I'm not quite sure what's going on as far as the effectiveness of it in that, because there is a lot of devastation in areas that I witnessed he sprayed.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going on, what was it, 15 years ago when we had this inundation in Clare County? We had the same thing. It's almost like it happened overnight. One year we started seeing a few gypsy moths here and there, and then the next year it was like devastation. And it took us 2 to 3 years of spraying to bring everything back in line again. Then we eradicated them pretty much at that time. And that's when we dropped the millage and we decided we got control of them. Well, now all of a sudden overnight, again, it's hit us again hard, and it's going to take 2 to 3 years, I think, from what I've seen, again, to get it into control again. Unfortunately, my property's devastated. it's, I don't know, it's all over the county. And nobody wanted to see this.
I understand that, but I'm just looking at bang for the buck.
Right, right.
You know, our association was willing, if we didn't become a spray group, we were willing to fund the money ourselves.
Mhm.
And we still think we got screwed personally. For my taxes, $150, you can throw that money out the window.
Do you live right on the water?
Yes,
Are you aware of the rules about spraying like that? They can't spray within 600 feet of the water.
no, that's not
No,
true.
that was.
That's changed.
That's,
Oh, when was that rescinded?
Yeah.
well, last year.
Oh, all right.
There's
Okay.
licensing now, he can spray to the water's edge. The only problem now is when he flies diagonal, he's got to flip the switch off and on. And how accurately, when he does that, is he still spraying over water, or when he comes back
Yeah.
and he flips it back on, he already missed my house because he's 100 yards the other side of it. To me, that's just, you don't have to be a scientist to figure that out, or some kind of an aviation expert, that he didn't fly a proper route. Plain and simple. I'll debate that to his face if he was here.
It's not the venue here for that because I'm not a professional pilot and I don't think any of us are either. So with
common
there's
sense.
variables that he has to work around, wind, direction, all of those things that I have no concept of. So, you know, at this point in this venue, it's a moot point. We are, Melissa is working on doing a count to see how, work on the effect, to see how effective it was right now. And she will be getting those numbers back to us. And this is an eradication program. It's a suppression program.
I'm aware of all those
So
parameters.
we're working hard. We're fielding calls. I'm fielding calls. I know Tracy is also, Dale is also. It's a huge issue. If we had a millage for the Emerald Ash Borer, it would have been a great thing as well, because we now have a population of dead ash
I
trees.
think there needs to be closer observation and I'd say watching what this guy's doing. I don't.
That is flight maps.
Those are very good points. I think that's something that everybody is aware of right now.
Okay.
And I thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
You bet, John. Any other public comment? Okay. Any questions on the communications list? Tracy?
I just have a few things. Budget requests were due into my office on the 11th. I started going through those, of course, preparing my own budgets, of course. And we'll be getting those ready for presentation to the board on July 21st. The HVAC company came in and they've been working diligently to get the filters changed out. We've had a lot of cottonwood that's attached to the filter, so there's been some issues with that. They're getting those changed out. And checking on some of the other things. There's a compressor coil that needs to be replaced. There was some exhaust fans over at the sheriff's department. So they're working on getting those taken care of, and I've been working with them on that. There's a capital asset policy laying on your desk for review, and I'll be bringing that back to the regular board meeting next month. I've talked with the auditors about the highlighted portion, just simply because I need some clarification on what they would like included in there, because we keep two fixed asset lists. One has everything on it, which is for our liability insurance. And the other list is anything $5,000 and above, which is for the auditors. They don't want anything below that. So I'm trying to get clarification on that. Once I have that, I can provide that to you next month. And then also there is a letter from Pete Preston, from Equalization on your desk. As we talked about him, at the last meeting, and that's just gives you a little bit of clarification from him on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right,
Morning. Lori Phelps, Senior Services, Community Services, Code Enforcement. We have served so far this year 56,224 meals. And we have completed 15,614 hours of in-home care. We are averaging about 30 new clients a month. And we're about 2 or 3 weeks out on getting them scheduled. I'd like that number to be a little bit better. That's where we're at. We recently received a grant from TransCanada for safety equipment for seniors, such as grab bars, walkers, fans. Carol Majewski wrote that grant, as well as funding for hot bags, coolers, for transporting meals. We also received a grant to cover emergency meals for fiscal year 2022. And to keep every single home delivered meal client with 5 shelf-stable meals at all times, no matter what, in case something happens, you know, snowstorm, whatever the case may be. So that funding pays for those shelf-stable meals. We had to add another meal route, 10 home delivered meal routes now in the county. We used to be able to do routes with volunteers because we averaged about 37 volunteers for the home delivered meal program. And we have the rest are paid employees. So that program has, you know, cost us a lot more money, about $150,000 more a year than what it used to. Right now, what you have in front of you, the colored pages, are the budgets for the grant that I just submitted yesterday. Therefore, the congregate program, separate, that's the yellow sheet. The home delivered meals program are the purple sheets. Or I'm sorry, yellow sheets are the in-home service programs, which would be case coordination, personal care, homemaking, respite care, senior center staffing, and caregiver. And then the purple is the home delivered meal program. The pink is the congregate program, and then the blue is the amount of units that the grant will cover and the amount of clients that the grant will cover. So we are required to present this to our board every fiscal year. And so you have this. If you have any questions, give me a call. And if you want to review the grant, in my office for your review. I'm working on a grant right now for the prosecutor's office for the expansion of her comprehensive opioid substance and abuse site program. That's for $600,000 with no match. We opened our congregate centers Monday. So people are coming back to eat, which is great. And for the building department, real quick, our permits are up 206% from this time last year, 290% from the year before. Crazy. So if anybody has any questions, always feel free to call me or come see me.
The grant for the prosecutor's office, would that possibly be inclusive with that position that she's looking for? Could that be applied to that?
Well, you'll have to ask Michelle how that's gonna work for her. When Michelle and I had talked, it was going to just expand her program so that she could just keep this program going and keep the staff that she has, and then expand on, you know, research and law enforcement.
Which
So,
might,
Michelle, are you on?
I am on.
could that include that, Michelle?
It doesn't include an attorney position. It would include a position for another investigator. So we have 2 investigators here because Dale is transitioning to the new grant, which is a violent crime grant to do follow-up on criminal sexual conduct and other felony assaultive crimes. We would want another person to kind of backfill what he would be leaving under the current opioid grant, which ends September of this year. And then to find a substance abuse counselor, we did have to step away from that portion of our last grant because of COVID. So we would like to bring that in, but we need a counselor in-house working with 1016. While they were happy to try to help us, it just wasn't, we weren't going in the direction that we wanted to go, which is to have somebody here monitoring a diversion program and to meet with people in the jail, excuse me, that need to have substance abuse treatment. And so we need to have a competitive wage to bring somebody here full-time for that. And since Mark is moving to the new grant, he'll be taking care of that, but we didn't get anybody who applied for the position under the new grant at 60,000 with healthcare for 2 years. I don't suspect that it would be any different under the new one, so I didn't want to devote money to an attorney position when we can devote it to other resources that would be necessary under the grant.
Okay.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Hey. Pam, you're up.
Morning, everybody. And the plan was for Jim McBride to be here with me today, but unfortunately he's in a meeting with Representative. What is his name?
Wentworth?
No, Molinar. Yeah, so he sent his apologies. And I passed out our annual report to all of you. Some of you have been through it, some of you have not. But if you open it up, on the front cover is our strategic plan addressing business retention and growth, business attraction, as well as community development. And those are the primary areas that we function within. 2020 was a crazy year, as you all know. And if you look at the metrics box on page 3, that kind of gives you some idea of how crazy it was. But I'm going to compare it to 2019. So in 2019, there was $32,897,000 invested versus in 2020, $134,472,000 invested. Grants in 2019, we received across our county $330,750,000 of grants versus 4 million. So significantly different there. 2019, 263 new hires versus 298 in 2020. And then in 2019, we had 135 company visits. In 2020, we had 542. So significant increase there. And really what that amounted to is a lot of time spent trying to make sure that we were able to retain businesses in the county so that we didn't have a lot of open storefronts when we reopened. So, and I know that there were a few businesses that went under, but by and large, I think we've done quite well to retain the majority of the businesses. Not going to say it wasn't easy, and I'm not going to say that they probably don't have some debt outstanding and some losses to backfill, but at least their doors are still open. And then company visits versus company visits. A company visit is the first time that we visit a company in the year. The company assists our follow-up visits to that business to assist with whatever additional items that there are. So in 2019, we had 309 versus 1,200 in 2020. So needless to say, it was a super busy year. And as you turn the page on page 4 and 5, this is kind of the overall metrics summarized. There were a couple of different grant programs that we were able to administer, and this was through MEDC, through the state. We were actually a named company. There are, I think, 84 different economic development organizations across Michigan. And they chose 11 to administer these funds. And one of those was Middle Michigan Development Corporation. So we felt very fortunate and felt like there was a lot of trust placed within our organization and confidence in our ability to carry this through. And so when we were doing the administration of the grant dollars, it wasn't just for Clare and Isabella counties. We covered into Gladwin, Aranac, Gratiot, and Midland counties as well, to assist with all of that. So there were 169 small businesses supported in the first round of grant, which was through the relief program. 22 businesses were supported through Match on Main program, which was the second round of grant funding. And then 842 businesses were supported through the Restart program. And the dollars for that program in the counties that I mentioned, Aranac, Clare, Gladwin, Gratiot, Isabella, and Midland, there was $3,325 distributed across all of those areas. Now I can tell you in Clare County specifically, there were $733,000 distributed plus an additional $20,000 for some grant funding that I sought out through the Clare Community Foundation as well as TCF Bank Foundation. So so that totaled up to $753,000, pretty significant. There were also some additional grants that were awarded to a couple of additional businesses, one in Harrison and one in the city of Clare, that were, they weren't administered through Middle Michigan Development Corporation, but we had a hand in helping them to apply for those grant dollars. So very, very important piece for the year. On the next couple pages, you'll see comments back on the process and how everything was carried out and the difference that it made for our businesses. And honestly, we go to this book with all of the feedback that we got from those businesses. And I'm going to tell you, I can't, so many times I got emails, text messages, phone calls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This makes all the difference for our business. And if Rhino were here from Cops and Donuts, he would tell you this exact story. They were like 4 days from having to close their doors. And the first round of grant money came through so that they were able to make payroll. They then were able to reopen their doors and everything just flowed from there. Very, very significant in the impact that it made in so many businesses. The next few pages are out of the Business in Focus magazine. They did a spread on us. I'll let you spend some time reading through that. And then we get to page 14. And we thought it would be pretty important, not only to highlight the successes of the year, but how some of the businesses were able to think outside of the box of what they were already doing to pivot and recreate and be innovative and help with some of the supply chain issues. And so in Clare County, Stage Right was able to, through the Rogers Group, they were able to pivot their production from making the big stages and seating for arenas, because obviously they had no orders for that because it was all closed down. And they were able to partner with a medical technology company to make some components, or a large portion of components for patient beds. Certainly not their primary business, but they had many of the processes available to be able to help with that. So that was fantastic. And there were others as well. Many of them were pretty small changes that they did to be able to survive, but it kind of just gives you an idea of how innovative our companies are and able to out of the box. So business attraction on the next page, this is kind of a big deal. We put a lot of effort into business attraction. Those deals don't happen every day. That we're able to pull a new business into our area from someplace else. And we were able to do that with Mac LTT. And that business then went into Mount Pleasant, into an empty building, and actually have outgrown that space already and are moving into a new space. So that was pretty successful. And little known news flying under the radar in 2021, we actually were able to attract Amazon into warehouse space into Mount Pleasant area. Doesn't impact directly to Clare County, but it kind of gives you an idea of how that business attraction piece is working. And on page 17, piece about the grand opening of Harrison's Town Square, which was, and I'll call her out, Ms. Laurie was very integral in writing all of the grants to be able to make that happen. Page 18, 19, Consumers Energy is one of our partners in a lot of different ways. And they came through in the pandemic and they did a lot of our town campaigns. I know they did one in Clare, they did another one in Gladwin, and they did a match. If the community was able to sell so many dollars of like they did Clare Cash, then Consumers Energy matched that amount. So it was a great program. Future Mold out of Farwell celebrated their 50th year last year, which is pretty exciting. That's a very small company that has grown and is doing very, very well. Mid-Michigan College was ranked number 2 as an online college in Michigan in 2020. And that's significant because, as you know, colleges weren't able to do in classroom training. And Mid-Michigan had already moved into the online realm, not 100%, but they had a lot of pieces in place. So when the pandemic hit, they pivoted and they moved to that online platform seamlessly. Other than from the student perspective, some of the students were challenged with the online versus in classroom training, but I think that speaks very well to the quality of programming that they have and their ability to see the future and plan for that. So, and then Mid-Michigan Medical Center received the Leapfrog Annual Patient Safety Recognition Award. And that's a nationwide recognition. Only 19 hospitals nationwide received that honor. So in little old Clare, I think that's pretty significant. On the following page, Going Pro Talent Fund Awards, I work for Michigan Works as well, but it's a nice segue to be able to offer to our businesses the training component, because they don't often have the training dollars to support their staff. And so the Going Pro Talent Fund program is an annual program and are able to have the companies apply and then get awarded the grant dollars. So this year there was, or in 2020, there was $91,706 of funding for employer training to happen during 2021. Those companies are listed there. So that was awesome. We've done some photography workshops for small businesses. We've got some photography equipment that the businesses can either come to the MMDC office and use, or they can check it out and do the photography in their own space. And all across both counties, that equipment is all the time in and out of our office because it's very highly used. And it's, I'm not a photography guru, but it's like a light box type of thing that enhances the photos so that they can put them out on social media, put the photos on a website, that type of thing. And then Mid-Michigan College and Michigan Works, Region 7B, as well as the CTE program, through the Clerk Gladwin RESD, we ramped up a lot on apprenticeships and are moving forward with getting a lot of registered apprenticeships set up within the county. So that's pretty cool. And then on page 21, Jim McBride was named the MITA, which is the Michigan Economic Development Association. He was named their Economic Developer of the Year last year. So that was a very well-deserved honor. He's worked very hard on economic development. He sits on a lot of committees to foster a lot of communication between multiple different agencies. I can even get into all of the different programs that he's tied to. So he does a lot and has made a significant impact in our area as well as across the state. And then the last couple of pages, page 22, kind of gives you an idea of the different sponsors of the Middle Michigan Development Corporation, as well as our partners. And you'll notice Clare County is one of our partners, and we very much appreciate the support. It's hard to do everything that we do without that support. So it makes a huge difference for our organization, and we very much appreciate that and look forward to continuing partnerships. Our executive director board and board of directors is listed on the back page. And then continuing on into 21, just to kind of give you a little bit of information. 2020 was busy. 2021 is again through the roof. In a different way, there's been a significant increase in new business interest. For the last several years, I usually get maybe one or two people who said, yeah, I'm thinking about starting a business. This is what I've got, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm getting at least 4 a month, sometimes more than that. So I'm just floored with that. So that's pretty cool. Our businesses are starting to rebound. They're seeing that increased traffic, reaching their normal as well as expanded capacities. The colleges are starting to see increased enrollments for this fall, which is awesome because they really took a hit last year. And then projects that were paused in 2020 are now gaining momentum and moving ahead, as evidenced by all of the building permits that Lori is seeing through that department, as well as expansions and a lot of hiring and whatnot. So a lot of great stuff on the horizon. Any questions, anything that I can answer for you guys?
I would like to say thank you to everything you guys did to help businesses get through the pandemic. I don't think you said enough on what you said here, the work you've done going through and just helping. The money was out there, just helping people find the right avenue to get it, to stay open. And I think you guys did an incredible job.
Thank you.
And also one question, what do you feel is the most impacted business due to COVID in Clare County? You think bars, restaurants? What do you feel is the hardest hit line of businesses?
I think definitely restaurants, bars and restaurants.
It's hard to believe people stopped buying donuts during the COVID.
Well, they had to shut down back in March. And then they pivoted too, and they started selling bread because of the shortages of bread. And that was the only way that they were able to, and so they laid off all their staff. They had like 100 people, so they laid off everybody except for the bare minimum. And they started selling the bread, and then, so that was pretty minimal comparatively. And then once things kind of started to ease back a little bit, then they were able to reopen and start selling donuts again. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Pam.
very much. Appreciate your
You
time.
bet. John?
Raymond Berg, and I'm here with Lee Wixom. We're from the Clare County Historical Society. And we're here to present a sesquicentennial plaque to the board for hanging in the hallway here. Just a brief comment. Clare County turned 150 years as of March 16, 1871. So 150 years and 90 days to the date, kind of cool. And I know the date because it was my brother's birthday yesterday. Kind of interesting if you think about founded, established, and organized, those three words. And it gets confusing because you see, if you look at the report that you just got, it says City of Harrison established 1891. Well, that is when it became a city under a corporate charter, incorporated as a city. It was a village first in 1879, in June, I believe, of 1879. Clare County became a county on, as I said, on March 16th, 1871. And strangely enough, Surrey Township and first Grant Township, a page later, Surrey Township, became organized legally by the County of Midland in 1870. So they beat Clare County, kind of like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But the legislature, Michigan legislature had authorized Midland County to incorporate or to organize. And if you think about it, one of the other strange things is the village of Farwell has on their sign, when you go into the village, it says established 1870. Well, maybe somebody built a cottage there then, or a lumber mill moved in or something, but their village plat was filed in August of 1871, about 6 to 8 months after the County Clare and the city of Clare. So I relate it to a divorce case. When the judge in a divorce case says from the bench, you are divorced, you aren't divorced until that judge's order with his signature or her signature lands at your office, right, Mrs. Lori? Yeah, now you're divorced. It might be a day later, it could be an hour later, it could be 3 months later, whenever that paperwork gets filed with the court. So I kind of look at when you're organized as that date of the legislature or the filing of a plat of a village. So that's kind of what I've explained to you in the last few minutes. And also wonderfully enough, the July and August issue of Michigan History, which puts forth the milestone project, which is this plaque, we are featured. We are there on page 64. Clare County turns 150. So I provided for each of you a real quick, a copy of that page.
How do we get that magazine?
Pardon?
How do we get that magazine?
How do you get the magazine? You subscribe. It's a dues thing,
Thank you.
Okay.
and they're relatively, it's not that expensive.
Great articles in it.
Thank you.
There's two there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would like a photograph of Mr. Wixom and maybe the board chair.
Sure.
Very cool. to hold the plat. Lee, come on up.
On in there, John, and I can take the picture with your phone.
I'm
Yeah.
not that photogenic.
Smile, Jeff, come on.
Best I got.
Great, yeah. Nice job, gentlemen.
All right.
Mr. Marion was photobombing. Mr. Marion was photobombing.
It's very nice.
Guys don't look at that. Pass it around. It is very nice.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Those are the screws.
Okay, perfect.
We'll get it up there.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
It is.
Ceramic or metal?
Metal.
Metal.
Wow,
Yeah, what I just tripped over.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
got a little weight to it.
Here's the screws to mount it.
Okay. Oh, thanks. No, I think we got a place for
You're the
it.
handyman around here too, so.
Right, yeah.
Man.
Jerry, you're up.
Perfect timing. I wanted to give a quick brief on broadband and where we're at, 'cause there's a lot of discussion going on lately. Especially with money that's available, that's coming out.
Yeah.
In the past week and a half or so, I've met with Point Broadband, Connect Michigan, ATI Networks, Intel, Tri-County Electric Co-op, and of course Greenwood Township last week. We had a meeting, Bronwyn and I were there. And I brought a group of our folks in from the broadband network group. So today I've got a meeting at noon with Merit Networks and on the benefits of open access networks for communities. So I'll be speaking with them. Just a little upfront, I spoke with Wintel yesterday. We still have an open contract with Wintel out of Mount Pleasant that we signed back in 2019 to give them a broadband fiber point access into our central dispatch telecommunications room. And spoke with Mark Graff yesterday, the CEO, and they are basically kind of reconstituting their group as we speak. His engineers, they're having a meeting later this week, and they're going to be moving forward with that, with that project. They've got about $30,000 invested in it currently, so they haven't abandoned us. It's just last year COVID shut everything down. They laid everybody off, and so financially they were pretty strapped, as were most companies. So, I asked him about about financing, funding, and all that kind of, with the money that's coming up. And he said, right now, he says, we're not asking for any money. He said they want to build this, project out since they've got the investment already in it. They want us, continue with it at their current plan. So I said, well, keep me in the loop, and I'm sure you will. So we'll see where that goes. I'm sure we'll be hearing something here pretty soon, pretty shortly. The township supervisors, we spoke last week at the Greenwood meeting, and apparently they're planning on having a meeting on the 24th. I haven't heard anything more about that or where that's at. If you,
That's correct.
is that still on? Okay, all right, where are they having that at? Because I haven't gotten a figure.
My understanding was at Greenwood, but I'll double check on
Okay.
that.
Yeah, time and stuff too. They didn't. It was kind of vague. So I told them I would go out there and set with their group on that. I'm trying to push as much to our July 12th broadband group meeting, our regular meeting. We get back on track on July 12th at the Clark Gladwin ESD. Of course, anybody is invited to that. We'll have a full contingent there from our group. Starts at 10 a.m. And that's where we'll get much more deep into the broadband discussion. So some of the things that just to clear up some things, it seems like there's a lot of money out there. There is, but broadband also costs a lot of money. And we discussed that at Greenwood last week, at $40,000 to $50,000 per linear mile to lay fiber, if you can get it right now. $100,000, $150,000 doesn't go very far. So whatever is done, and I'm gonna voice this to the supervisors next week, is that, make sure that that investment is made properly and it's with companies that have already got a stake in our county. There's companies that are already here, ATI Networks, Wintel, obviously, ISP Management, which is a wireless provider in the county, work with those companies that already have a stake in an investment here. And to make sure that, if they do choose to jump on with those dollars, that they use them, fruitfully, they're spent wisely, because there are specific goals and objectives in those grants. And if you don't achieve those goals and objectives, there's a specter out there, but you might have to pay that money back at the end of the grant. So we don't want anybody to get into that situation. So I'm advising, the municipal governments to walk very carefully with this, do your homework and meet with those stakeholders, that are already here, which we did, last week with at the Greenwood meeting. So again, the conversations are continuing. I'll continue to update, the broadband group and Tracy and, in the board as far as how things progress. But I would expect things are going to move along. I can see maybe down the road that maybe, to get like those access contact points from here, maybe out to Hayes Township, there might be some need there, coming up as far as financial or whatever. So we'll have those discussions again, I'm sure coming very soon. So, yeah.
Last night I was asked by both Frost and Hayes Townships, where do they start in applying for these funds? How do they go about that?
I sent all that information out to them. I think people get email overload from Jerry Becker.
They did.
I am still, and I'm very proud of that. I guess that I'm the biggest emailer in the county system, so I think people get overloaded from me. I apologize for that. There's a lot of information coming through my office. I would be glad to resend that out. I can resend it out. To
Maybe send it to me and I can.
I'll do
get in
that.
touch.
That might be easier, than
Yeah.
send another blanket email with that. Yeah, I sent it out. In fact, I think I sent it out the day after the meeting last week.
Yeah, I think they're a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. There's just so much going on out there. There's so many portals and so many pools of pots of little money here and there that, there's some big ones and then there's some smaller ones and there's just so many different areas to go, to look. So, yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Great, thank you.
This morning, so you're welcome. Any questions of me broadband wise at this point, or? Okay, had a little power outage on the west side, of course, from the storm last Friday. And the tower was knocked out of power, the west tower where ISP Management has in Greenwood, we just promoted the other night. And unbeknownst to us, the oil company, I was working with Lambda Energy on Monday and Tuesday this week and got the power restored out there. So they had quite an issue out there. So it's taken care of. So, but just a snafu. So.
Thank you for your time.
Very good.
You're welcome. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a
Thank you
great day.
very much.
Okay. Take Justice Committee 1.
Motion to approve the Homeland Security Grant Program intergovernmental agreement between West Michigan Regional Medical Consortium and Clay County.
A second.
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Roll call, Lori.
Brown. Drusky. Asplund.
Yes.
Richford. Yes. Bristol.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes. Okay. Sheriff's Department roof replacement discussion. Okay. We discussed at the last meeting that the roof is in bad shape and we can get part of it done. We think we got the funding to get part of it done this year. The issue being is if we wait to not do the whole thing, the price goes up a considerable amount because cost of material. Now, do we have them numbers again so we can review them anywhere?
They're in the original packet.
Okay,
Total 159,000.
Page
Did we find out whether that,
43 and
whether that could be covered under?
I don't,
Americans Recovery.
I don't think so.
but it still's not there yet.
Right. But it's not, I mean, we still don't have all of the justification for some of it. Page 43.
Yep. So phase A is done. It would just be the following three. E, C, and D.
What's the representative 1, 2, 3? Is that what should be done
Well-
next, number C or?
Priority.
B?
Priority.
Priority. Okay.
But
Is there anything for the future stuff? Lori's still here, isn't
Yeah.
it? For the future stuff, are there any grants out there that we could get paid for something like
I
that?
still think we should try, I mean,
Yeah,
to get it out of the recovery funds, especially for changing
I agree.
the return air.
Right.
I totally agree with that.
Yep.
So I
And-
think we should try it. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think it could hurt.
Right.
You gotta bring in 100% air in the jail. So. It doesn't make sense to do.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
okay. So how do we pursue that? What's,
We're gonna talk about that.
During our ARPA meeting
Yep.
okay,
on the 23rd.
all right.
So do we need to lock this in by voting on it now? So they can schedule it? I mean, if what was the date on here?
Letter regarding price going up was
Yes.
May 12th.
Yeah, can we take one, maybe we should take 1 year at a time. As it's brought forward to us, because obviously the price is gonna change. They already
And-
said that,
And maybe prices go back down because
Yeah.
they're skyrocketing now.
yeah. I mean, it's
So-
tough for us to approve something, not knowing what the cost is gonna be, true cost is gonna be.
Well,
Well,
they've
this,
got-
this would, I think, be the true cost if we approve the whole thing today.
But if you look at that C shows year 2022, but
Mhm,
the 36,000 says next sprint. They've got that marked as number 2.
right.
So
I think it was amended. Is Dwayne out there?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am.
Hey, on your rough B, C, and D here we're talking about.
Yes.
Could you, what's the level of importance on these? I know you feel they're all very important, but if we could only do one or two.
it says it right there on the side. Would like
Yeah.
to do next
Move
Yeah.
B.
4 and 5. And then
We-
move
we-
to 2022.
Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, we numbered them based on the priority. Definitely that first one is huge concern. It's leaking. Water's coming right into the detective's office.
So you'd move C to B and B to C, just
Yeah.
flip flop those two.
Okay, so.
So we just approved, we just approved the C year 2022. For now, and then we either set money aside in the budget or we review.
By then,
where
we should know
can-
where we're at
Right.
with the relief funds.
Yep, yeah,
I'm all in on that. We at least approve C
yes,
now because it is
Yep.
leaking and
yeah.
really bad. And then go forward. So
Mm.
if,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
So can you repeat the motion? Because there was a lot of.
Motion is to approve number 1 priority, which is line item C at 44.5 for year 2022.
contract with Jerry Britton to do
Yep.
the roof.
Yeah.
Funds to come from.
With funds to come from either budgetary or
contingency.
Well, either contingency or the,
Well, I know, but we're gonna have to pay it right now, that's what I'm saying. What?
we can always pay it out of,
I would say
General fund.
we can always pay it out of contingency and reimburse contingency back when.
reimburse
money
the general
from the-
fund, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Lori, you caught up?
I am.
We have a second?
You're not second? Second.
All right. Motion, we got a second? Roll call, Lori.
Majewski,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Was there a question or? Sandy, you just look like, what was your question? What, bring it up.
Well, when we were talking about it the other day, we had kind of agreed to do the whole roof at this time. We talked about that would be the best thing.
And what I feel that maybe was solved here that I like is we've got some momentum now to use the relief dollars for this.
Mhm.
So we kind of were saying, let's at least get phase one on the books. It's the most important.
Okay,
And then if we can use the relief dollars, we'll just bring it back to the board next meeting if we find that
Okay.
out and add those both on.
okay, so they could be done this year too.
Right.
Okay, all right, I can live with that.
Okay,
Speak. I did.
I know.
All right.
I get chastised a lot for talking no.
No.
No, you do not.
No.
No, you take E1.
Sure. Region 7 the Agency on Aging Worksite Agreement to approve the Senior Community Services Employment Program Worksite Agreement for fiscal year July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 for all Clark County SCSEP sites.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I don't know if anybody needs clarification on that, but the animal shelter uses uses people for this purpose, volunteers out at the animal shelter, and this is what this contract is for.
Region 7 pays them.
Mhm.
Okay. Roll call, Lori.
Majewski.
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Brown, Asplund,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Samantha, will you take number 2?
Motion to allow the Community Development Department to purchase 2 vehicles in the amount of $31,944 for a total amount of $63,888 with funds to come from the Community Development Fund.
And
Senior services.
senior services.
Senior services and
Coming
building.
from The building department, because I need another vehicle for the building department. And then one is for senior services,
So not community development.
not community development.
Thank you.
And we're getting those through the sheriff's department. Mike Bailey got the bids. through the state. We're getting a good deal.
I'll second it just for discussion.
Okay.
Are they brand new vehicles?
They're brand new vehicles.
And I see they're all-wheel drive, which you'd want
Yes,
them to be. And
What kind of cars are they?
they're Ford Explorers,
Ford
the
Explorer.
same thing that the sheriff's department gets, but they don't have all the bells and whistles. Well, I'd like to slowly transition all of our vehicles to the same thing that the sheriff's department has. It's just easier.
Do you need a faster vehicle to catch people running or?
It doesn't have that sheriff's department fastness.
Oh,
Sorry.
the reason for these is you've got 2 vehicles now that are
Yeah, well. we
getting too old.
another route for home delivered meals. So I need another vehicle for home delivered meals. And then we have a four-wheel drive truck that is on its last leg that we're gonna transition out for the building department.
Okay, and you've got plenty of money for this.
I do have the funds for this, yes.
Roll call, Lori.
Bird,
Yes.
Jaski.
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes,
Asplund,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yeah,
motion carried.
Thank you.
okay. Sandy, will you take, IT position discussion?
I haven't heard much. How's it going with the added person?
He's gone right
gone.
now.
He's gone?
Yes, he found a full-time job. Left. I think,
How long ago did he leave?
well, Friday was his last day.
Oh, Friday.
This is kind of how I feel it's rolling is by bringing in this part-time help. By the time they get up to speed, they're already gone. I feel we need somebody. But did anybody I think the other meeting, did we see if we could fund the one additional IT person out of the American Relief Fund due to the fact that because of Zoom and everything else, and Pam is raising her hand. Yes, ma'am.
So if you really want to keep the person at part-time, which I think is fine, would you consider taking somebody that maybe has recently, or maybe is in the program, say at mid, who has a competent skill base? And we could, through Michigan Works, we could do an on-the-job training to get them up to speed.
I'm all for
Would help
that.
with the funding.
Our conversation before, but it didn't generate
That
any,
was for apprenticeship,
okay,
and now you're looking to fill a
Position.
paid regular position.
Jeff, you had mentioned that
Mhm.
before.
and
And I
how do we go about this? Do we,
I got my digs into somebody actually. That just came across my desk the last couple of days. I'm like, oh God, okay. Because IT jobs, while in other areas are plentiful, in this area, they're not.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all these people come through programs and they're qualified and there's no jobs. So this is fantastic.
Is this something we have to send out or can we just?
send out
Because they won't be going
post the
through,
job?
they won't be going through Kelly Services or anything,
No, they'll be going through Michigan Works.
Michigan Works.
Okay. Yes, Jesse.
Hey, guys. The apprenticeship program probably isn't going to be as much of a benefit to us as it is to them because we frankly don't have time to train somebody.
This
And-
isn't the apprenticeship program. It's not what we talked about
That's
before.
what Pam is talking about is the apprenticeship.
No, it's not.
On the job training.
She's shaking her head no also. It's a qualified person, but they would help out by providing the on the job training until that person is up to speed, whatever criteria that is. Am I correct, Pam?
Yeah, the on the job training is you train them.
Yep.
We offset your costs.
Right.
Up to 50%
Yeah.
over a period of time, like usually about 499 hours.
So we'd get 500 hours of on the job training, so we'd pay half the salary.
so who's doing the training of this person?
We would be doing it.
Our two guys?
Jesse, yep, Josh.
We don't have time to train people. That's not helpful to our workload is we don't have time to train.
Well, with the next department head IT meeting, maybe we could have this information available for you so you can look at it, because you even said the person from Kelly Services that comes in they have a learning curve to get up to speed on the way we do business around here, correct?
That particular individual did. If we rehire somebody, it would be ideal if we can have somebody that has a little bit more experience. We had a very limited candidate pool because not very many people are willing to take a 2 to 3 week assignment. If we were to open it up for something like a 1-year assignment, we would more likely be able to get a larger candidate pool, get somebody who already has more experience and be able to get that person up to speed with less training.
Pam, what is the skill level of this person?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I just know that the resume came across my desk and I thought, oh gosh, now I'm gonna find an IT position.
They had, they had a background in IT then with
Yes.
a company or,
I know he was going to school for IT. He's got a couple of years of college in. What the actual hands-on experience is, I don't remember.
So I think this is a good avenue to at least look at.
I agree.
So if we get you more information, Jesse, would you be interested in looking at that?
Yeah, if we can get a resume from them and see what they've done, then we can compare them.
Okay, we'll try and shoot for the next department head meeting. That's when you're doing your IT stuff, correct?
Yeah, I can do any of that at any time. The only thing that I had for you today was the Kelly service person and just an update on the RFP as far as the IT director report later in the meeting, and the department head meeting on Friday is probably just going to be updating those two things. So whatever you'd like updates on those, we can run through it.
Okay. And we'll try and get that information to you.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. Okay. Sandy, can you do 2?
I practiced last night. Motion for the statutory finance committee to approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of May 17th, 2021 in the amount of $89,804.24, as well as $4,874.93 for a payout due to a resignation of Sean Gerby.
Yep.
And $729.60 for Kelly Services, and June 1st, 2021 minutes in the amount of $59,793.62, as well as $752.09 for the payout due to resignation of Elaine Jessley, $768 for Kelly Services, and $882,396.56 to Al's Aerial Spraying LLC for the Gypsy Moth spraying. Ta-da!
Good job.
Yeah.
That's obscene.
Second.
Could bought an airplane for that kind of money
I think you're right.
and hired a pilot.
Roll call, Lori.
Crystal,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Majewski.
yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Brahman, you take 3?
Yes, motion to approve the expenditures for the month of May 2021 in the amount of $1,950,882.01 with the general fund expenditures totaling $786,474.13.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Lori.
Asplund,
Yes.
Majewski,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Can you take 4?
Motion to approve budget adjustments number 21-104, 21-106, 21-107, 08, 21-109, 21-10, 11, 14, 2118 and 2119 in the amounts of $10,800, $15,050, $5,130.60, $37,134.57, $7,258, $250,000, $206,168.12, $14,332, $95.05, and $37,685 to be distributed.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Lori.
Brown,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Woodchucky,
Yes.
Hedgeburn. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Dale, could you do the next one?
Sure. To appoint Barry Wallace to the Clare County Board of Canvassers to fill an unexpired term to begin on June 16, 2021 through October 31st, 2023.
I'll second.
Roll call, Lori.
Woodchucky.
Yes.
Hedgeburn. Yes. Bristol,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Basco,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. We'll start with you, Lori.
Got a lot going on in my office. The CPL equipment will be delivered tomorrow. We're all set up with MSP and our vendor. No, the equipment's being delivered today and the training is tomorrow. So we're excited to get that moving and we're on track for our August election with the two townships, Winterfield and Reading. We got our ballots yesterday. We're testing today and get the ballots out to the townships hopefully this week. And jury trials are scheduled to begin in July and they haven't been canceled yet. So we're really hopeful that that gets
Good.
going. We've got a huge board full of names. It's going to be incredibly busy. Any questions?
Thank you. Jenny out there?
I am. Hi there. Good morning. We are just busy in our office. We're preparing for the new tax year. 2021 databases are coming in. We're also working with the local unit treasurers on the summer deferment ad that I usually compile for all of them. So we don't have 19 different ads in the paper. Just so you know, in your areas, our inspectors will be going out for any properties that are in forfeiture, which means they're 2 years behind in taxes, but they have until March 31st to pay those. But we have to, by law, go out to the properties and personally serve. So we'll have some people out in the field in your areas in case you guys get questions while you're at your meetings. I'm undertaking a huge strategic investment plan. It's really hard right now with the rates and we are bound by Public Act 20 in our investments. So I am trying really hard to get some of this money out and working for us, but I'm not so sure. I don't really see that us getting any really big rates for a long time. I am attending many ARPA webinars, as is Tracy. They are put on by a bunch of different finance entities as well as government education entities. We have one coming up that's really big that is tomorrow afternoon. So this one should be an update on Treasury's guidance on how to account for these different monies. And I also think it's going to give guidance to your local units that are still waiting to hear when they're going to receive their portion. Currently, I am working on the 2021 budget with Tracy, which is our current budget. And we're also working obviously on the new 2022 budget. I will be able, after this meeting, I'll be able to update my spreadsheet that I hand out to you guys so you'll know where we are without the ARPA money. I have also updated the debt fund. If you guys are interested in that, I can bring you an updated copy at your next board meeting. And my chief deputy is still out on medical leave and I have other staff out on vacation, so we're still shorthanded in here. We did just send out notices about the inspections, so our call log is really busy in here. But we're making it work. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop by or you can ask them or give me a call or email.
Thank
Any medium you want.
All right.
Thank you, lady.
You're welcome.
Michelle,
Good morning. How are you guys?
good yourself?
Good. I come with visual aids. I like visual aids. Thank you. It always helps me. I'm gonna see the lay of the land.
There you go.
Double-sided.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I have an extra one, I think, or I'll email you a copy. I'm sorry. I thought I had enough. I miscounted on my screen. So as you heard Lori say, jury trials are going to start back up in July. And so I kind of wanted to go over what our schedule is going to look like. And so I kind of color coded it for you just through July and August. September looks just as bad for circuit court jury trials. Actually, it looks just as bad through the end of the year, but I got done typing after 2 because schedules do change with the courts. But I wanted you to kind of get a visual of what that looks like and how it impacts our office. So circuit court jury trials are on there in purple. And a circuit court jury trial doesn't always conclude in one day. Most of the cases will go at least a minimum of 2 days. For the larger cases, they will extend up to 4 to 5 days, depending on the complexity of the case and the number of witnesses that we have. So when you look on there and you see that I have 3 circuit court jury trials scheduled for the 7th, and then on the 8th and 9th of July is continued circuit court jury trial, that means that one of those, whatever trial goes on that day, could potentially continue for those additional days. And as you know, when an attorney is in trial, they aren't focusing on anything else other than trial. That is your life from the time that it starts till it concludes. And so you'll see there's many weeks where we have circuit court jury trials scheduled on 3 consecutive days, and that there's multiple trials scheduled for each day. That means that the attorneys on those cases need to be prepared to go on all of the cases that are scheduled for that day. Because if the first one on the docket resolves by way of plea, we need to be prepared to go forward with the next one. And if one ends before the end of the week and there's others scheduled, then you need to be prepared to pick up the next file and go into trial on that one. If you don't know, it takes anywhere from 12 to 20 hours to prepare for a circuit court jury trial, just to prepare for the trial. And that's if it's a normal case. If it's a larger case, like the one that's coming up on July 20th, one of those 3 is assault with intent to murder and torture. That will be a 4 to 5 day trial. And that will, with the volume of witnesses, the expert witnesses, because there's a lot of medical that's going to be in, that will probably take me closer to 30 hours to prepare for trial. And then when you take that we have a 37.5-hour work week, we also have the other dockets that are going on and the other cases that are being heard in court. I think you can see that it becomes very difficult to get work done when you don't have enough staff. And so as I look at this upcoming jury trial docket, not only in circuit court, but when we look in district court, there's 18 trials scheduled for Thursday, July 15th. We are told to be prepared for all of them, because if they bounce out, we are running a trial on the 15th. On July 15th, the majority of those 18 cases are cases assigned to my chief assistant prosecutor, which means that we're trying to divvy out some of those files to help her prepare for them. But really, the person who's trying the case needs to have a good handle on the case so they can try it. District court jury trials can take mostly up to about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours maybe to prepare for trial, because we do have to do visual trial. And depending on how adept you are at the PowerPoint programs and all of the other video editing software and things depends on how long it's going to take you to prepare. And also, new attorneys take longer to prepare than more experienced attorneys. And so all of that needs to be taken into consideration. And then on the other cases, we're still getting motions filed. Last week, I had 2 different sets of motions dropped on my desk that took me 5 hours to respond to those 2 separate motions in total. I was in here on Sunday morning working on responses until at noon. I said, why the hell am I here? Right? So I went home, spent it with my family. So I'm telling you that we don't have the appropriate level of attorney staffing to manage and address the cases that we are handling. No one has applied for the 6-month, $25,000 position. They haven't. I was talking to Prosecutor Barbary in Isabella County the other day. He has a position open for a full-time assistant prosecutor position at 50, was it 55,000 or 50? I'm sorry, I don't remember. But it was one of those numbers and he has not received an application. I sent you the prosecutor update. There are 26 open positions across the state, and it is because prosecuting attorneys' offices and their attorneys specifically are not properly paid. And when you take it to MIDC and they can work there and their cases are limited to a certain standard and they're getting $100 an hour, they have a better quality of life and they're getting more money. And so not just here, but prosecutors' offices across the state are becoming understaffed, because why in the world would you go to a position where you're working nights, weekends, you're not getting paid? My staff, the chief assistant, she's been here 5 years. She hasn't seen a raise in 5 years. And there are nights that she's here till 7 o'clock at night, and she's driving from a long distance to come here to work. So it's just food for thought. Ingham County, according to traffic that's going on the prosecutor listserv, Ingham County is getting 2 assistant prosecutors with the ARPA money. So clearly, that money can be used to fund those positions because they're doing it in Ingham County. And I'm telling you, with the workload that we've got coming because of the backlog, I could use 2 additional assistant prosecutors to cover that. But I'm here just telling you, fill the position that's been vacant since March. At least do that. And do it at a rate that I can get somebody.
And what would that rate be? 50?
57,000.
57, that's what you talked about
The
before.
current assistant prosecutor is getting, and we were able to pull her from Gratiot County because we were in a competitive war with them for her. And so I think that I would be okay at 57,000. It's a little bit higher than what some of the other starting salaries are for counties surrounding us, but it's not excessive. And I think we would be able to get somebody right out of law school willing to do that. But if we don't get somebody in here, we're going to drown and you're going to burn out the attorneys that are in the office and you won't have anyone.
You still have people off on leave?
No, all the attorneys that were in the office are back in the office.
They're back in there, okay. Now, going forward, do you feel if you had the 1 to 2 more people that you need, once this big backlog from the COVID is over with, that then you'd be overstaffed? Do you have enough right, if it wasn't for this, do you have enough right now to?
So the position that was vacated by Autumn in March of 2020, when she left, we needed that position because we came to the board prior to COVID ever happening and showed that we had the workload to spread across those attorneys. So we need that position. Now, if you were to give me 2 attorneys and after the backlog is done, then the 1 could be potentially a temporary, because I think once we get through it all, but the office still needs to have that core, because you gotta you got to plan for vacations,
Mhm.
sick leave, people being out of the office for emergency. I mean, these are life things that you can't, but you need to make sure that you have the staff to cover for it. And while we were happy to cover for the one that was out, I would do it, you know, for her. It was rough trying to cover all of that and a lot.
As is in everybody's business. I agree with you.
Right,
Yep.
so we got to do something.
Okay.
I'm telling you, we're gonna drown, and those are large cases that,
As Tracy and Jenny or whoever is researching the American Relief money, we'll check on that.
Is there a contact person for Ingham County? Is they use the relief money? Is there someone that we can
I
contact?
would imagine you could contact their administrator. I got the information from the prosecuting attorney.
It's not a problem for rehiring attorneys. It's the sustainability that we would have after the ARPA money's gone.
We have it till 2004, correct? I mean, so you have 3 years.
2024, yes.
24.
Right.
Yeah, so you got essentially 3 years to figure it out. If you can't figure it out in 3 years, then.
I'm
the county's in trouble.
just pointing that out to them.
Right.
And the one position that already needed to be filled, right?
Right, so if we fill the one
One?
that's vacated.
We can cover that.
Permanent.
Yeah, okay.
And then if you bring another one in temporarily for an extended, 2-year maybe
Okay.
contract, then I think
Mhm.
that would work.
Do you think you could get people to take that job if they knew it would probably be temporary?
For 2 years, if you got healthcare and we get somebody, I'd be looking for somebody right out of law school. I don't think that we would be drawing more experienced attorneys.
Would there be a big learning curve?
Well, there's always a big
Yeah.
learning curve. But, we'd make it happen. And with that,
think
if
we
you
need-
take somebody with a less, without all of that experience,
Mhm.
like the problem that we have with the grants is that was a grant to prosecute violent felonies. So I need somebody
With it?
with experience
Yeah.
to come in and do felony level trials. And that's difficult to find for a 2-year period. But I think
Mhm.
somebody just starting out, that's probably about when they'd be looking to go somewhere else
Yeah.
for more money anyway, which is kind of what we see here.
I think we need to find out first what we can spend that money on.
And that's
And-
coming
and-
up.
And I would think that by now, somebody would be able to tell us what we can spend that money.
I'm telling you,
It's
this
already
term
been
keeps
approved
changing.
Ingham County, is
all
that
the time.
correct?
I mean,
It's
it's
already been approved for
Only-
Ingham County. I think Clare County's. no.
5 months now. Yeah, 4 more.
I definitely think that the ARPA money would cover funding for a prosecutor because they know the courts have been behind because they've been shut down. They've been restricted tighter than most. But the only thing is if you're going to keep them on, it has to be sustainable in the future. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Tracy's saying. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we could substantiate hiring prosecutors now. So that's completely up to you guys. It's just the sustainability is the only piece going forward after the ARPA money is gone, that, you have to put it into that plan is all.
We can sustain the one, correct? Okay, and then the other one would be the couple of years.
Till 2024.
Mhm. I was just pressing for clarification.
You can sustain the one, that's what you said?
Yeah, the one that she's had the
We've
person.
added money. You
Is
don't have
there-
that in your budget right now.
Next,
Not in 2021, no, because you took it away from me in 2020 and
Right.
said, don't put it in your budget for 2021.
Right.
third is that?
So I followed your direction.
So,
It wasn't on me.
That is a.
No,
so it wouldn't be
Did I make that a
sustainable.
full board meeting?
No.
It'd have to be, we'd have to add it.
Me,
to
you-
our budget.
Okay,
Stephanie, you.
so if we told you to put it back in you could put it back in your budget?
Lori.
I have put it back in my budget. You'll see it in my budget for 2022.
Okay,
Would you just forwarded your needs to me so I can have that as we're trying to go through this? And see what we can come up with. So maybe we can bring something to a full board in a timely fashion. So you're not hung out there. I would like to rectify this best I could for you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Unless you guys have any other questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dwayne, you speaking for John?
I am. Just a couple quick things, guys. We've been working on the garden that benefits the inmates in senior services. That's all done. We're working on the jail wall, waiting on the cameras and tiles, and then we should be good to go. My hope is maybe the end of July, but there's some things beyond our control that haven't come in. Other than that, we're just looking forward to the Freedom Ride coming up on July 17th and the 4th of July to have a parade and let the public get out and enjoy the summer a little bit.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Did Jesse answer his questions? Did you got any estimates back, Jesse, on the server that we talked about?
The server RFP is getting ready to be posted. Probably gonna post it Monday, the 28th, and have it come down July 9th. So we're just working on some final formatting for it and proofreading, but we're getting ready to post it and put the finishing touches on it.
Okay, perfect. Anything else? We talked earlier. You got anything else or?
I can give you some official numbers off of the charts from the Kelly Services. Paul was costing us $25.60 an hour, would have cost us $49,924 a year. Paul was making about $16 an hour from Kelly Services. The rest was essentially their fees. If we were to direct hire someone out, it would cost us about $54,778 a year, and that person would be making $19.46 an hour. When Paul left Friday, he took a full-time permanent position that was making about $1 an hour more than what he was making here. So I think if we were going to hire someone on, I would recommend setting the term for 1 year for an assignment from Kelly Services. That would do two things for us, probably three. First thing would be it would reduce the turnover, and turnover is a waste of time for everyone. Secondly, if you're concerned about the sustainability of the cost and you have money for it right now, and we set a 1 year term, we could review at the end of the 1 year term whether it's sustainable to fund them for another year. And thirdly, if we ever wanted to convert them into a direct hire from a Kelly Services position, there are fees associated with doing that until you've paid Kelly Services for about a year. And that was the situation with Josh, as we converted him to a full-time employee from Kelly Services after a year. That way that Kelly Services can get paid for what they do for actually finding and sourcing the employee for us. So if you do consider funding and staffing a third IT position, I would recommend a 1 year assignment for all the previous reasons.
We'll look into all our options. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's up to me. There is some good news. In the Michigan Works meeting, I did learn that for the month of May, Clare County's unemployment rate is 7.98%. Why I say that's good news is last year at this time, it was over 40%.
Oh, well,
So hopefully that's an indication things are getting back to normal.
okay. You happen to know what it was before last year? Were we,
It was an all-time low before COVID hit of what, like nationally,
okay,
4.3, and it was like 5.6. We were right on line
okay, all right,
nationally.
all right.
Harrison's got fireworks, July 3rd parade, July 4th. I think we're getting closer to figuring out what we can use this relief fund money for, and I thought we've had some good talks over the last few weeks. We've been meeting more to try and figure it out the right way.
Have we applied for it yet or not?
We have them,
We-
we have the first.
we have it.
in already.
Okay.
And I think
Report,
that
the reporting's due in August.
out through the communities, as we talked, like we talked to John today, that we need to listen to what the public has to say about the gypsy moss and hopefully learn something and maybe formulate a little bit better plan. if that's possible. That's all I got. Dale?
Just a few things. I know years ago, pertaining to the gypsy moth conversation, the county handled the gypsy moth program. We in turn, at that time, decided to turn it over to the conservation district. I don't know if it's in the mix or if we want to discuss maybe bringing it back under our realm as far as the county. So
And who would run that?
I don't know. We'd have to look and see who.
Okay.
I think
Do you see me looking at him funny?
Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean, Tracy, that you have to take it under your wing.
I mean, we had a gypsy moth coordinator
Right.
that handled that.
I think
At that time.
he was actually gypsy moth in IT too.
Correct.
It was a combination.
Yes.
Mix, but it was a combination.
Yes.
But it was under the county.
Right.
That way, I think we would be able to have a little bit more control over the program. I think if it was under us, I'm not saying that that's I'm just throwing that option out there because that's what it used to be. But that's just an option, just food for thought anyways. So, and another thing, the health department is looking at the contribution for Clare County, an increase of about $6,000. So it's either we opt in to pay that additional 6,000 or we look at an increased fee for permits and stuff like that for our county. I know we had chose the additional fees last time
Yeah.
instead of the increased contribution. So we're looking at our increase would look at about $6,000 more for the health department. So
I don't understand why, I guess, just back history, I don't know what the fees are for.
what the fees are for is basically running the program, the programs of the permitting for the water testing that's done for the facilities and things in the county. Other programs that go on that there are fees associated with, it keeps the cost of the fee down. Our contribution does, so that it more or less comes out of the general fund instead of the individual taxpayer. Because you're looking at, if we choose to go with the increased fees, it's a substantial increase to the person, I guess, using the system. That's just the way that the funding is with the health department.
For
So
$6,000 would be a big increase.
actually, we were one of the lowest increases. When you're looking at Isabella County, possibly with a potential $20,000 increase or $25,000 increase, it's
The reason for asking for that is the simple fact that they have right now $800,000 deficit in their new budget coming. in.
I
This
can
year's.
tell you why they got that. It's called that new building. I'm just saying.
Mhm. Well, they can't work in a tent, so.
Well, I realize that, but
It's not set in stone
they
yet.
had a
No,
facility.
we have to vote on it.
They had.
Yeah, we have to vote on it yet, but you had gotten the email, didn't you,
Yeah.
Jeff, on everybody's contribution increase and that. So, and it's solely up to each county what we want to do. We can opt and do what we did last time. Just pass the cost on to the users that are using the system and they pay more for their permits and for their fees and stuff like that. Or we keep the costs of those and just pay the $6,000.
So this is, this increase, do you think it's due to all the permits people have applied for buildings and things like that?
To do with.
Nothing, okay.
It's just,
Oh, he's
it's
saying-
just the health department's general fund. they.
Oh, okay.
so COVID didn't do any favors to any health.
Yeah.
So did you say 800,000?
He says it's not gonna be that, but just a preliminary number when. Well, we can get closer to what that will be probably the next couple meetings, I think, so.
Yeah.
Would that come out of ARPA money?
No,
No, okay.
Oh, that, not to mention that appropriation continues on even after those funds are gone, so.
Okay,
You know, I mean, we realize, changing the subject, back to the gypsy moth. It's a big issue and I think we all understand that it's a big issue. The spraying didn't go quite like I thought it would go. And I don't think it went quite like anybody thought it was going to go.
Your township was one of the worst with this continuing thing. And I had Melissa out to Arthur Township to talk to them because they didn't get sprayed at all. And they were beyond livid.
Women didn't get sprayed at all either.
Yes, and the problem is, and Melissa, and maybe other people in the district attribute that to the fact that possibly the climate change has changed the way these caterpillars hatch. Because Melissa was talking about like a second hatch, and I witnessed that at my house because I have had the bigger ones, then all of a sudden I'm seeing the babies again. So, you know, maybe the spraying worked for the caterpillars that were there at the time, but then they kept coming, okay? And so we either have a second hatch or we have caterpillars now that are being hatched kind of on a spectrum. They just keep coming.
When you do when they do I guess a double egg mass count, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
When you go from like Lincoln Township, when they counted the egg masses, there were 2,000 per acre. When you did another egg mass count, it jumped from 2,000 an acre to 26,000 an acre
And you're talking about last year's egg mass count?
this year's. What was estimated in the spring.
Oh,
So it's
but didn't they
Lincoln Township.
count them last fall?
They counted.
They count them in the fall too.
Yeah, so then we're,
Initial.
okay, and then they came out and counted again? Huh, okay. I didn't know they did that.
I would think that that's got to be representative of a lot of townships in Clare County. I guess the increase,
Yes.
the underestimation and all that. Again, it's something, I mean, I think we are actually infested more than we were the 15 years ago this year.
Well, I remember the one 30 years ago because
Right.
that was just incredible. Okay,
Other than that, that's all I got.
All right,
okay.
Samantha,
I don't have anything.
all right,
I was an awful person.
You are.
I know.
Sandy,
All right. Hazard mitigation planning is going well. We're learning how to categorize hazards 97 different ways and then sort them out by, you know, the most costly to the people and that can hurt the people with disasters, you know. Franklin Township, I haven't seen them in 3 months because of a calendar thing, and they scheduled one meeting. You know, it's like the third Thursday came before the third Wednesday in some of those months. So, well, I'll probably see them tomorrow. Okay, Arthur Township. I asked them at their meeting on Monday that they haven't received their COVID money yet, but they were concerned that if we had, and I said, yep, we got ours. So I did ask, and they were pretty calm. They felt like it was going to actually come. All right, they didn't get sprayed at all, so they were livid about not being sprayed, and we fielded a lot of calls and letters from those people. And Melissa came out to their meeting on Monday night, and she did a good job, answered lots of questions. And then she and I both had that handout that I emailed to all of you about how to deal with them year round. You know, you might want one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I felt it was real helpful. Hamilton Township, they are dirt poor this year, and they couldn't afford brining, and their people were very upset about brining. So I don't think COVID, well, they were trying to work the ARPA money, you know, if the dust was a health issue, you know, maybe they could get brining in yet this year, but they had a lot of people at their meetings that were upset about that. And they're looking for new sources of revenue. That's it. Didn't even need the timer.
Thank you, Sandy. Bronwyn?
Yeah, thank you. Same issues basically is what she, gypsy moths, hazard mitigation, that sort of thing, but I want to go back because when I came in January, I read the State of Michigan Department of Treasury report on financial statements for 2019 and 2020. And they said that Clare County had a serious material weakness with regards to a formal capitalization policy. I asked for one that we start working on one then, and a couple meetings ago, you recall that I asked about it. And Trace said it was on her desk and she handed us something out today, but we're not talking about just tagging capital assets here. According to the state, they want a capital asset, capital improvement policy that allows us to schedule major capital expenditures in a manner that avoids significant spikes in our county budget. Okay, so it's a matter of handling our county budget better. They stated in black and white, county lacks internal controls. That's a significant deficiency. I spent the last couple of days, I'm going to pass these out, drafting this with regards to the requirements of the accounting procedures manual for the Michigan local units of government. This is a capital improvement program policy. And basically, yeah, look it over. I'm asking that be put on the agenda for our next meeting, along with what Tracy handed out. And we look at, it's a good example is the roofing, okay? We were, you saw how we were trying to figure out what do we do first? How can we do it and so on. Well, with this, we've got a plan. It's a plan that works, and evidently it works in other counties. I've spoken with Oakland and other counties, and I think it can work here. And I think it can help us. It can really help us with capital expenditures in a manner where we can avoid coming to our meetings and having something presented before us that day and saying, oh God, where are we going to fit that in? Look it over, okay? And I ask that we put that on the agenda for next meeting.
Bronwyn, can you email me a copy of that or give me a copy for the?
I just want you to know that the capital asset policy that's on your desk that I passed out came directly from the auditor. And that's what she requested.
Well,
So we're basically looking at almost two different things. This is how we record those.
exactly.
This is how we
And
budget
we,
for those.
yeah, we need, tagging. We need to do tagging for capital assets. We need to do that. But we also need to do this, the improvement policy, which will help us with our budget.
Hopefully we can figure out a way to get extra money to do that. So let's see what we can come up with.
Well,
Talk about both.
money for this, for the policy.
No.
And sort of will help us figure out.
We will, if this policy is gonna help us budget, that's gonna we gotta take some money every year out of our budget to put towards it, I would think, wouldn't you?
Well, read it and then you'll see, okay?
Stephanie,
Better have some good stuff.
Sorry,
You better have some good stuff.
not really. Been working with a lot of people, talking to a lot of people regarding gypsy moths. Melissa's out doing the counts now. She did just relay to me this morning that Long Lake was approximately 70 to 80% effective. Right, so we'll be, after I get some data from her, we'll be coming out with some more news releases and educational materials regarding what's the next steps, how do we get prepared for fall count, et cetera. So that's pretty much been a daily, taking calls daily, talking to people daily regarding the moth.
The moth. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
Yes.
and, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I think stated the county budget, Jenny kind of updated on that, and it's kind of work in progress, so we can hopefully get a little better idea where we're gonna end up after next meeting.
And I'll be doing some more updates too, as far as the expenditure portion. I've
Yep, perfect.
done some other things. Get that done.
Okay. Any more public comment? Yes, John.
Patient person. You said that there's a commission that heads up this Gypsy Moth. Who's on it? Who's the head of it? I went to the best tool I have is Clerco Net. This is as outdated as it gets. Is that because you don't have an IT person?
That has a little bit to do with it. You're exactly right. That's why we're trying to.
John
solve
Hood
that.
hasn't been involved in this for over 3 years.
Yeah.
I thought we cleaned that one up.
We did.
Yeah, because you and I talked about it. You were typing in while I was going, but
The Clear County Conservation District is responsible for running the program.
Yes.
Have their own board.
But who's on it? And How do I know who it is? Because.
I've got their
this is-
names. I've got their names for you. I've got emails for you.
I'll share this with you.
Are you ready to write it down?
Go ahead.
John Kennedy's the chair. 989,
Wait a second, John Kennedy?
yep. 989-539-3553.
he likes chocolate chip cookie.
539. Was the last,
553,
I'm sorry,
3553.
thank you.
And Scott Peterson is the treasurer. 231-429-7670. Clint Kolosky. 989-429-6276. Matt Todd.
I'm sorry,
989.
what was the last one?
Matt Todd. 989-240-0255.
I'm sorry, 242.
989-240-0255.
It's updated.
Sorry about that.
Sometimes older.
Yep. Their
versions, that
next
stuff
meeting-
stay on there.
Pardon?
Their next meeting is July 13th
The second Tuesday.
at 6:30.
Where?
They meet upstairs at the Conservation District office.
Are they still doing Zoom or did they?
They do have a Zoom link.
Okay, all right. And that'll be posted on the county webpage, the link to their Zoom meeting. But are they having people come into the meeting in person now?
It would be after July 1, so I would assume it would be open.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, yeah. And do you have the Conservation District phone number and you've talked to Melissa? Okay, so you know that and the Conservation District is run by the state. Okay, it's not it's not a county thing. Okay, all right.
You're the one that authorized the funding and you just.
We need to know what the public thinks, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
I think that should have triggered some kind of a request for an audit or some kind of an evaluation of this. At $890,000, take a chunk of that and hire a manager to control this. That's a huge amount of money that we just sent them. For how long was he up here? A little over a week?
Mhm.
Well, that's the position of the Gypsy Moth Director Coordinator, which is Melissa Townsend.
We asked for more bids. Rick sat right there and asked, and we tried.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you're right. Maybe having a director would be a lot better avenue, but
I think so.
the only thing that scares me on that is
yeah.
you want somebody, not just part-time for that, and then in 2 years, there's no Gypsy Moss for another 15. So, but it may be the best money we ever spent. But I agree. And that's why I kind of said we need to do some diligence on this and see what is going on and not waste a bunch of taxpayers' money. I agree with you totally.
It's like water through your hands. You're not getting any bang for the buck that I can see right now. And I'd love to, I'm gonna for sure be at that meeting and I'm not sure what kind of information they're gonna have available, but I want to see this bill from Al's aerial spraying. On what the hell he charged us for. That's just an
Yeah.
astronomical amount of money. I can't imagine how much chemical you could buy for that much money. And then are we paying a fair market price even for that? I don't know. We're just paying his markup. This guy, he's got to think we're the best people in the world.
Are you in Frost or Hayes Township?
Pardon?
What township do you live in?
Hayes.
Okay.
Arnold Lake is almost all totally in Hayes Township. The very north end of it's in Frost. And who knows what they're doing. I can pass this information on. I don't know if everybody has it. This is a current copy of that spray map.
I have
This
it.
was my attempt on blowing it up.
No.
Get it? It's a joke.
I've actually,
My card on who I am, and you can get in touch with me.
if you see, I've got it on my phone and I can pull it right up and
Mhm.
And you
it
can.
looks perfect. Oh, yeah.
With clarity?
Yes.
I don't.
And where do you go for that?
Hold on, let me show
I've
you.
had it.
Hold on,
All
let
right.
me show you.
But
Seen one right-
my point on what you can see, even if I put it on my laptop, what he says he did and what he did isn't the same thing. That's my point.
Yeah, that's pretty clear right
And,
there.
and I think you're on the right avenue going to that board meeting.
Yeah.
I really do. So,
Mhm.
all right.
All right, thank you for your time.
Don, thank you.
Mhm.
Pretty clear to me.
You weren't gonna talk to him.
Sure.
Hey, public.
Unfinished business.
Oh,
I
Michelle has
have
public comment.
comment for Hayes Township. I live in Hayes Township. We got sprayed. And I am so stinking happy that they sprayed. It did a great job. I can sit out on the back porch this year and I'm not being rained on by caterpillar poop. And so, you know what, you hear a lot of complaints and a lot of people are probably not happy and I understand why they aren't happy, but I'm gonna tell you, Melissa Townsend rocked it. And she deserves your support and backing when people come in to complain,
Mhm.
because she did a good job.
I agree.
So-
I've talked to other people here in, around in this part of the county that are real pleased with what happened too. And it's, you have to fine tune when they're being sprayed. It's such a complicated thing to get it right. So, and then we've got those other things with the continuing hatch, but
And I think
Thanks.
what it is too is I went around and looked at the spraying was delayed too. I mean, it didn't happen the days. Initially, there were areas that were sprayed that you're seeing the positive in.
Mhm.
But if you look back, and I looked back to see the days that they were delayed, those are the areas that are having the problems because it was closer to a rain event.
Yes, and that'll just, yeah, okay,
I think that was the issue. I think that happened.
yeah, it's really complicated.
The rain event,
Mhm.
ones that were sprayed earlier are seeing positive
Mhm.
direction with it.
Yes, Don.
Tell you that they had trackers on the planes and Melissa and Jerry were sitting there watching the planes, tracking the planes where they were.
Yeah, that's what that printout is, a copy of the tracking, yeah.
That's what that
So
printout.
there's no,
It's all done by GPS.
yeah,
And the flight pattern and everything's all done automatically by GPS.
yeah, so
What
it's,
he will ever be. Yeah, that's as I work with the conservation district and, you know, we look at what happened this year, we move forward. This is through 2024 millage, so we can only better the program.
Right.
And potentially spray more acreage next year once we get controlled areas.
Yeah.
Her count is huge this week, so getting any data back is gonna help us make those determinations for next year. And, you know, just educating, we need to educate. I've learned a ton about the moth and I look forward to putting out more press releases, you know, infographics, just to help in the education.
It's a
And
process.
it is a process, and I
process.
think
we're all becoming entomologists.
we are.
Specialty, yeah. Mhm.
Well, because a lot of people are under the understanding that I get spray that kills the moths. That's not the
No,
case.
no,
They have to go to the tops of the trees to eat the leaves to die off that way. And
Mhm.
it's, you know, people don't understand. And I'll be honest, I think Melissa's done a good job.
Mhm.
She's been working diligently on this. They came in, you know, I got sprayed because, you know, I was diligent about asking for them to come and do the counts and things, so, yeah, I think she's done a good job.
Yeah, and that reminds me of another thing. That you can sign up on the webpage now, or you can write a letter and ask for your place to be counted.
Yeah.
So you can do that to make sure you do get counted. And she's also got signs that you can put out that say you're counter friendly, okay? Because some of the counters sometimes run into a problem with hostile people, you know? Yeah, all that kind of stuff, but yeah, so sign up to get counted and get your counter friendly sign.
Any other public comment? Unfinished business? New business? Meeting adjourned. I was only 7 minutes late.